So, you have an idea you want to share with the world. And what better way to do that than in the form of a book? Whether it's fiction or nonfiction, entertaining or educational, one thing is certain: writing a book manuscript is one thing, but promoting it once it's published is another. There's so many decisions to make. Hi, I'm 𝗕𝗂𝘂𝘀𝗶𝘲𝘀, and in this live consultation, we're going behind the scenes with the husband and wife team to see what it takes to promote his self-published book of poetry. Quick disclaimer: while I'm no expert on book promotion, I've learned a thing or two from my own book journey, and you'll get to learn from my mistakes firsthand so that you can write your way to success. This is Season 10, Episode 125. Let's start the show. This episode is brought to you by 𝗕𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂𝘀𝗶, the company through which I provide consultations like the one you are about to hear and or see. And you can learn more about how I give these consultations and possibly sign up for one yourself at 𝗕𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂𝗀𝗋𝗂𝑔𝑒𝗠𝑠ystems.com. That's 𝗕𝗂𝘂𝘂𝑠ystems.com. Joining me today for our live workflow workshop is Jeff Pollard in Gary, Indiana. Welcome, Jeff. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
And this is a special treat because, Jeff, you are the first family member that I've ever had on the podcast with me. And there's my cousin, my beautiful cousin, Francine, first cousin.
Hi.
So they are husband and wife. And I'm so excited to have both of you on the show today. How are you?
We're doing good.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
We worked through some technical difficulties there, but we are now here. Everything is going off without a hitch, hopefully. First, before we get into the process that we're going to talk about improving today, I'd love for you all to first introduce yourselves. So, Jeff, can we start with you?
All right. Okay, my name is Jeffrey Pollard. I have several names, but one in particular that we will discuss later is 𝗕𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂𝘂𝗂, which is my poetry name. And I have self-published 4 books and just looking to get them marketed and distributed. I've been writing for the past, over 25 years.
Wow.
And just started to solidify some things with the writings. So through expression of poetry, I just want to get a message out to the people to let them know there is hope, especially in these times.
Yes.
And you can still live your life to its fullest.
Absolutely. And Francine?
I'm Francine, just here to support Jeff. That's it. That's really about it. Just here to support Jeff and whatever message he wants to get out. I'm always a proponent of that message. It's always something positive, uplifting, and something that will definitely stick with you. So I'm just here to help him get that message out.
Well, that is awesome. We can all, as entrepreneurs, we need all of the support that we can get, because it's very lonely when you're out there trying to push whatever your product or service is. So good to hear that you have that support, Jeff. Now, let's go ahead and take a listen to the video that you submitted describing the process that you want to work on during our session today.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Pollard, and this is Francine Smith. And I'm here to showcase my 4 self-published poetry books. My poet name is 𝗕𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂𝘂𝗂, and these are 4 of my books. This is Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. And I just have a question on how to get these books marketed and distributed. Thank you.
Hi, Jeff. I'm sure you know by now that writing and publishing your books was the easy part. Now comes the hard part, actually promoting them. And in preparation for our book promotion process that we'll discuss on the podcast, I want you to think about 3 things. Number 1, are you active on social media? Number 2, are your books listed on Amazon? And number 3, do you have a website for your books or someplace online where people can go to learn more about you as the author and the story behind your books? We'll talk about those 3 things plus so much more as we work through a book promotion process for you on the podcast. Looking forward to it, Jeff. See you soon. Okay, now before we get involved or get into the details, Jeff, of a book promotion process and how to get it better distributed and marketed, I was wondering if we could first talk a little bit more about your different books of poetry. So can you describe those to us in a little bit more detail?
All right. Well, I have 4 volumes, and each one of them has a theme. The first book deals with just inspirational sayings, quotes that I've made up. The second book is a combination of poetry and quotes. The third book is just all poetry. And then the fourth book goes back to just quotes.
Okay, awesome. And how long have these different volumes been out? When was the last volume published?
Wow. I think 2017, the last one.
Okay.
We did. Yeah.
So one of the first questions, there were 3 main questions that I asked you in my video response to you. And the first one was, are you active on social media? And I'll explain why I was asking that question.
Yes, I am.
Okay, what platforms are you active on?
Well, I am actually in a poetry group called Soft Spots. And I share impromptu work on there. Sometimes I just write impromptu, and a lot of us on that platform share our poetries. Also, we actually have a family page, my family page, the Far Family, where I share poetry on there, and also dealing with the organization I'm involved with. I may share some, poetry on there as well.
Okay, and is this on Facebook?
Yes, this is on Facebook.
Okay.
All on Facebook, yes.
So this is Facebook. Okay. Have you ever tried to do any advertisement, or what have you done to actually promote?
I haven't done any promoting recently because I'm in the process of, reconstructing the books. But right now, I'm just getting some intel. So when I move forward after the reconstruction of the books, to see how I can get them marketed and distributed.
Okay, and we're definitely going to get into the reconstructing of the books. I definitely want to know exactly what you're doing there, because I have some ideas for you that kind of go outside of the process that we're talking through right now, but we're definitely going to touch on that. So I'm curious, do you have a presence on Instagram? And the reason I ask about that is because the way Instagram was described to me, and this was what honestly made me start to give it some thought, Instagram is really like a digital magazine. And if you think about it that way, if you actually had a physical, tangible magazine in your hands, what images would you want to put out there or put into your magazine? What types of articles or short quotes and sayings, some of your, some excerpts from your poetry? What images would you want to show in your magazine? So, do you have an Instagram presence?
No, not at all. I haven't done Instagram.
And I must admit, I did not want to get on Instagram at all. But what someone else shared with me, and this is Maria Contreras, by the way, she actually helps me quite a bit with my social media management. But she said, authors do really well on Instagram. There are a couple of different hashtags. One of them is hashtag authors of Instagram. Another one is author life, like hashtag author life, where different authors will just show themselves maybe either in the process of writing something, typing out a manuscript, maybe packaging up a book to ship to someone. It's just showing different facets of what it looks like in the day in the life of an author. And people really get connected to that because it's not so much about your actual works of poetry as much as it is about you yourself. So that's why in my response to you in the video, I was also asking, do you have a website that people can go to where they can learn more about Jeff, the author, or Jeff, the poet, and know a little bit more about your story so that way they can feel some type of a connection to you? So that's another question that I had for you is you know, what
No,
type
not
of
yet.
online presence? Okay, and so we'll talk through that as well. Are your books listed on Amazon?
No.
Okay. So we have some great things to talk about, Jeff. So one of the first things that I want to share with you, can you see my screen now? I am pulling up Amazon.com. Can you see that right now? Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, perfect. So I want to share something with you. I'm going to pull up the name of an author whose book that I'm currently reading right now. It's called Irresistible, and the subtitle is The Rise of Addictive Technology and the Business of Keeping Us Hooked. It's an excellent book. So I'm going to look up his name. His name is Adam. Well, first I'll look up the name of the book, which is Irresistible. And this is it right here, The Rise of Addictive Technology.
I see it.
Okay. So this is his book. And as you all know, you can have a Kindle version, which is a completely digital ebook version of your book. There's Audible, which could work really well for you, Jeff, especially since so many people associate poetry and quotes with spoken word. So Audible might be another avenue for you to explore, and that's also owned by Amazon. And then there's the actual tangible physical copy of the books as well. Now, what you'll notice here, we have the name of the book. There's an image of the book's cover, but you see all of these different formats that he has it in. You can either get it as a Kindle, you can purchase it on Kindle. There's the audiobook version. There's the hardcover version, which is what I have, and then there's the paperback. Because different people have different ways that they prefer to receive their information. And when it comes to books, I would encourage you to explore all of these different formats because you might find that one works better than the other. Right now, they're all in print, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so no electronic copies of the book.
No, these are all hard copies.
But let me show you something else that's really cool. So you see the author's name here, Adam Alter. I'm going to click on his name, and this is actually going to pull up his Amazon author page. If it will pull up here. Oh, here we go. Visit Adams. This is what you could do for your page, Jeff, is once you get your products listed on Amazon, you would then have the option to create an Amazon author page. And the way you do that is through what's called Amazon Author Central. I'll repeat that, Amazon Author Central. So what you see here, he has his headshot, his name. These are all of his different books. And as I continue to scroll down this page, to the left of the screen, you'll notice his bio. And then to the right, there's, again, a listing of all of his different books where people would then have the option to click on these things and find out more information about each of these different books and hopefully even purchase them. This would be a great thing for you to have in place until you get your own website. So for now, just for starters, I would highly recommend that you get this in place right now. The other thing that I wanted to share with you, and let's see if he has it here on his page. Okay, so Adam doesn't have this on his page, but I want to show you something else that's really cool that you can do with an Amazon author page. So I'm actually going to pull up my author page. So I'm going to look up 𝗕𝗂𝘀𝗶𝗄𝗂𝗀𝗃 𝗵𝗂𝘂𝗃, and I'm going to click on my page. And I want to share this with you. So here you see the same thing. I only have one book. This is the Kindle.
Okay.
This is the Kindle version. And again, to the left, you see my headshot, and directly underneath, you also see my bio. But here's something else that's really cool that you can do with your Amazon author page. You can actually, if you have a blog, or like we're on the podcast right now, there is what's called an RSS feed that's associated with your blog as well as a podcast. I'm actually, do you see this right here where it says blog post 114 validating software product ideas with Ronan Walsh?
Mm-hmm.
I did not add this. I did not personally go into my Amazon author page and add that information. It pulled it from my podcast website automatically. So anytime there is an update to the podcast or even a blog post, this Amazon author page knows to pull that information the moment it becomes available online. So it's constantly keeping your page fresh with new content. You can also upload videos, images, anything that you want for people to be able to see when they visit your Amazon author page. So for example, right here, this image that you see of the book itself, that's just an image that I personally uploaded to the Amazon author page. And then this very first thing that you see with the play button, that's an actual TV interview that I did where I'm actually interviewed about the book. So I uploaded things that have to do with the book, in addition to letting people know, hey, if you want to know a little bit more about me and the types of content that I generate on a regular or frequent basis, read these different blog posts that you see here. So I just wanted to share that with you to see what you can do with an Amazon author page. But before you even get to this point, remember how you were talking about reconstruction of your book? I'd like to hear more about that because I have some thoughts and ideas. If you're open to receiving them, I'd love to share them with you.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So with reconstructing, the books that I have, they're in color, and okay, so here's like here's like the first one.
I have my copy right here.
Oh, okay, great. And this is the second one.
Okay.
And that's the third one.
Okay. So
and this is the fourth one.
So for those I'm sorry, just really quickly, I just want to share with those who are listening only. So they're each a different color. So one has an orange cover, another was it yellow, one was green, and then one was red? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Orange, yellow, green, red.
Okay. I'm sorry. So I just wanted to describe that for those who are listening to the podcast.
Or just listening,
only.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the color printing can be quite expensive.
Absolutely.
So what I've done in the reconstructing is to print them in black and white, but have colored pictures in them. So Francine is looking for the one that we've done already. Do you see it?
Okay. Well, while she's looking for that, maybe I can start sharing with you some things. Just, it may be some things that you've already thought of, but maybe some things that you haven't. Have you also thought about the size of these books? So for those who don't have the benefit of actually seeing the video right now, let me just describe what the books physically look like. So this is 8.5 by 11, correct?
Yes.
This is the size of the book. Very shiny, high gloss, high quality paper. And the book that I have right now is Inspirational Sayings by Siddiq, Making Memories in a Mirror. And it's 14 pages, and there are some images, but every page is full color as well. So my first question to you is, have you ever thought about experimenting with the size of the book itself? In other words, making it smaller?
No, but that is a great idea. Definitely would consider that.
So condense, that's one of the first ideas that I have for you, is to consider condensing the size of this to maybe 6 by 9 or even 5 by 7, or maybe even something smaller than that. That would be maybe what's considered pocket size type books. I think that's what people would expect to see from a book of poetry or even a book of quotes.
Okay.
And it would also make the product appear thicker, because you have several quotes here that can fit on just one of these 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. But if you had something that was smaller, it gives the not illusion, but it would create a much thicker body of work. So that's one thing that I wanted to mention to you. I also noticed when I open up the book, there's a bio of you, which is great. This is what you can put on your Amazon author page.
Okay.
You already have the information here. The other thing I noticed is that there is a table of contents, and at the very bottom, for those who are watching this, at the very bottom, there's some copyright information. I want to talk to you about that. Are your works actually copyrighted?
Yes.
Okay. So we need to have all of that information where you have this about the author page as the very first page when you open the book. That copyright information needs to appear here instead. The about the author information usually comes at the very back of a book. So I'm going to use Adam Alter's book again. And this is something that I recommend to anyone who's listening, who's always been curious about not just how you write a book, but how you might actually go through the process of self-publishing. I always recommend look at the books you already have in your library. So just take any book off the shelf and really study it. And I want you to look at books that are actually produced by traditional publishing houses. So this one, for example, Adam's book was produced by Penguin Press. And you'll notice it's a hardcover, but here's what I wanted to share with you. So there's another cover of the book. And then as soon as you open it, this is that copyright page.
Okay,
so that's where you would show what year it was copyrighted. It has your name as the author. Do you have a Library of Congress number that you received?
I do, but I do not remember it right offhand.
Well, that's okay, because you should be able to go into their database, and just based off of your name and the title of your work, they should be able to give you that information. Okay. I do know that their database, they kick you. It's almost like online banking. They kick you out frequently if you don't have any activity within a certain period of time, and it's not very long. So that's just something that they do for safety and security measures. So just know that when you attempt to log in, you may have you may be forced to reset a password just to be able to access your information again.
Right.
And again,
right.
It's nothing personal on their side. It's just a cybersecurity measure that they have in place. But some of the other key information, if you use images from any other source, a lot of times that information shows up here. And I'm just going to try to put this up as close into the camera as I can. And then some people include the year that they were born, and also your ISBN number. So that was also something else that I did not see.
No, I don't have that.
Okay. So that's going to be really important, Jeff, because that's how Amazon and any other company, for a bookstore, for example, that's how they're going to track your sales. So make sure you apply for an ISBN. And I'm going to pull up a website here. It's called Bowker.com. Actually, here it is right here. Can you see this right now?
Yes.
Okay. This is where you can go to sign up for an ISBN number. Again, that ISBN number is directly tied into the actual retailing of your book.
Okay.
An actual bookstore, like let's say a Barnes & Noble, a Books A Million, bookstores are quickly becoming a thing of the past, but even your local community bookstores, That's what they would need in addition to a barcode. These are the types of things that you can purchase here at Bowker. The other great thing about this website is that they have all kinds of free courses that you can take and free webinars, workshops. If you sign up for their distribution list, they send emails out at least 2 to 3 times a week. It could be a workshop on how to copyright your book. It could be a workshop about how to actually apply for or purchase an ISBN number. And then once you receive that ISBN number, that's what you also want to make sure you get inside of your books. One other thing that they're going to ask you to think about, Jeff, is because you have 4 books, well, 4 volumes, is it considered 4 volumes of one body of work? And if so, it might just require one ISBN across all 4. Or if you say, no, these are individual separate bodies of work, then you would have 4 separate ISBNs.
No, I would want that all together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you would see that as you apply for things like that. That's definitely a question that they would ask you in the form, is whether or not you have one body of work with different volumes. Or even, sometimes you may purchase a book and it may say that it's the 2nd or 3rd edition. That's so that author and that publishing company don't have to keep applying for new ISBNs. So they may take an original body of work and say, you know what, there's nothing really substantially different about the book. We just added some new information or updated some things. There's no need for us to apply for a separate ISBN because technically it's the same book, same title. It's just a newer edition. So that's something else. You're going to definitely need that information in order to get your book onto Amazon. Okay, so we've talked about you already have the copyright information. You're going to apply for the ISBN. You're also going to purchase a barcode because, let me stop sharing the screen here. So if you look at the back of any book that you buy at a bookstore, you see that barcode. That barcode, let's say if you are approached by a traditional publishing house, which happens to self-publishers from time to time, they're going to want to be able to track your sales. This is how they do it. That barcode allows them to do it.
Can you purchase, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you purchase this barcode from Bowker.com as well?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So ISBN information, ISBNs as well as the barcode. And they do run specials from time to time. So sometimes you can purchase these things as a bundled package. And sometimes you can buy, they may have a special where you can buy 10 ISBNs for $99. Or if you just need one, that's all you need, that's all you need. But just know that they have different specials because some people have multiple books, as we saw with this guy, Adam. Even though he's not a self-published author, he has several books. And so for some people, if they know going into it that they're going to have multiple bodies of work, they know to just purchase a bundle of ISBNs and then they're done. So glad we talked about that. Who actually prints your books?
Well, the one I went through, I can't think of her name right now because it's been a while since I printed, but she lives in Calumet City, Illinois, and she has a printing company that she did. So she printed the ones with the color. Now, I'm going to show you, okay, so this was the original one that I had and for volume 3, and this is the one I did myself.
Okay.
Right here. And it's, you see the color, but everything else is in black and white. And so, the pictures, the writing.
Yes.
The artwork is in color.
Yes.
So that saves on the color.
Right.
with regards to, because it was quite pricey.
And
during
that's something I don't think people realize is the actual cost to produce the book that always has to
Yeah,
be factored into the actual
exactly.
price that you charge overall. So in terms of distribution, definitely get the book on Amazon. I would also highly recommend that you create an audio version of it as
Oh
well.
yeah,
I think
definitely,
so.
definitely.
Yes. And again, you can do that through Audible. You can read it yourself, or you can hire someone for a very nominal fee to read it for you. It's really up to you. But once you have, so here's the way Amazon works. And I keep saying Amazon, and I'm focusing on them for those of who are listening or watching right now, because they are by far the dominant player. It is what it is, right? Here's the thing with Amazon. What I noticed with my book. So my book, this is my book, Behind the Facade. It's a hardcover book. I knew going into the publishing process that I wanted a hardcover book.
I'll be purchasing that book today, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your support. What most people don't realize is that Amazon has their own self-publishing company, which is called KDP. It stood for Kindle Direct Publishing. Amazon does not have the ability to produce hardcover books. They can only produce paperbacks and audiobooks. Excuse me, ebooks, audiobooks, and paperback. They cannot produce as of the taping of this recording, in September 2020, they do not have the capability to produce hardcover books. So I went through a company called Ingram Spark, and I'll pull up their website. It's called ingramspark.com. They are also print on demand. This is who actually prints the hardcover version of the book. With the digital or ebook version of my book, I did go through Amazon to do that. You have to play nice with Amazon, because when you try to put a book on their platform that they did not have a hand in producing, especially if you're a self-publisher, it can be very, very, very difficult. So when you go to my Amazon author page, that's why we only saw the Kindle version of the book. Even though there's a hardcover version as well, they show you that Kindle version because that was produced through their company. Got it? So there is a hardcover version. So what happens is when you have a body of work, when you have a book that was not produced through Amazon's platform, you have to submit that book to them. So Ingram Spark, the company that prints my book, they actually send books like mine to Amazon and say, hey, Amazon, we have these new authors that have just signed up with us. We have all of the information that you could ever possibly need for their books to add to your marketplace. Please add it. It can take, I think for my book, it took about a full week before it actually appeared on Amazon's website. Then you have to activate the feature to look inside of the book. Sometimes you go to Amazon and it says, look inside, because you want to test around. You want to try it before you buy it, right? As a potential author of a book, you want to be able to peek inside. So those are all of the little things that make such a huge difference, Jeff and Francine, once you get your book onto a platform like Amazon. You want it to be easily searchable, easily found. The pricing needs to be attractive, obviously, and also know this about Amazon. Just because you say, well, this particular body of work is $12 and 99 cents. Amazon may say, you know what? Well, this week, Jeff, we're actually going to offer your book for $5.99. There's nothing you can do about that. There is nothing you can do about that. So just know that that can happen. Just because you set a price, they can either increase it or they can decrease it depending on the supply and the demand. I have found that when an author, a famous author, dies, if you go and look for that author's book on Amazon, they're almost guaranteed to skyrocket in price. Almost guaranteed. And then if you wait about maybe 30 to 60 days later, the price starts to taper off again and go back to what it used to be. So just know that it can ebb and flow. But again, they're the dominant player by far. So you just kind of have to play along with them, play along to get along, right? So those are just some things I wanted to make sure that I mentioned to you. The other thing, let's see, we talked about, so from a distribution standpoint, I would definitely consider just having the books published through Amazon's KDP program. And so it's K, which stands for Kindle. I'm pretty sure it stands for Kindle. And then D, like direct, P, publishing. So Kindle Direct Publishing. And you can just do a search for that and you'll definitely be you will definitely be directed to that particular website. Okay. That is by far the best way to get the distribution. Now, going back to social media. So we're working through this promotion and distribution process. So once you reconstruct and optimize what your book actually looks like and give it some more of those validation qualities like the barcode, the ISBN, putting the copyright page in there, maybe playing around with the size of the book. You already have the images, but you would then want to start going onto social media. Consider creating that Instagram account. You can also show short clips of yourself reading from some of your books. So just like we did the video where you submitted, you submitted your idea for the process that you wanted to talk about. You can do the same thing right from your phone. You can create these short, maybe 30 seconds, no more than a minute or a minute and a half maybe, of yourself reading from one of your books. And you just post that as a video in one of these social media platforms and just say, this is an excerpt from my book entitled X. Fill in the blank. Want to know more, or are you inspired? Are you looking for some inspiration? Whatever call to action you would want to have, that's what you would put in the body of that post. The reason social media, especially right now, is so important is because, unfortunately, because we're still in the midst of the pandemic, we don't have the benefit now of getting out and doing things like speaking events or going to those spoken word events, doing book tours, going to different coffee shops and having book signings. We aren't able to do those things that authors have been doing for years and years and years and years and years. So we have to get a little bit more creative and figure out how can we leverage these different online technologies, which are free, most of them, but it definitely takes up your time. And it's not the same as being in person, but those opportunities are definitely there. So in terms of, again, the distribution side, I would recommend getting with event planners that put together spiritual type conferences and workshops, things that have to do with meditation, even metaphysical type things, yoga classes. Try to think of those areas where the people who are likely to be very receptive to your bodies of work, where else do they hang out? What other types of activities are they involved in? I think when we spoke a couple of months ago, I mentioned TED, the TED events. A lot of people, unless you've actually been to a TED event, most people don't realize this, but there's usually 12 to 15 speakers at a TED event or TEDx. In between those speakers, they have interludes where creative people come in. They can recite poetry. I've seen musical compositions. I've seen dancers do these beautiful bits of choreography in between different speakers speaking. And it's a way to kind of break up the flow because otherwise you'll just be sitting there for hours on end listening to different people come to the stage and speak. But that is also an audience that would be highly receptive to the work that you that you do and the work that you've produced. So what you could do, Jeff and Francine, you can actually actively seek out TEDx organizers. You could look for them by doing a search on LinkedIn, let's say, and type in the search word TEDx organizer or TEDx licensor. So the way TED works, TED stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. There's the main TED stage, which is where the people like the Bill Gates and Oprah Winfrey's of the world, they take to the main TED stage. But then for everybody else, there are TEDx franchises. So you and Francine, for example, you could literally start a TEDx franchise in Indiana if you wanted to. And you would put together your own event and it would have a theme and you would solicit, you would recruit different speakers and different people to provide the entertainment and the design portions of the event. But you could contact and reach out to those people and ask them, are you looking for are you looking for people to kind of fill in some of the spots between the speakers at your event? A lot of TEDx events are being conducted digitally this year. In fact, I attended one in Atlanta a couple of months ago. Wasn't the same as being there in person, but you could still appreciate what they were trying to do. But there were definitely creative bits in between every single speaker. And that would be a stage and a platform where you would, again, definitely have a very captive audience. Yeah. So I don't know if that's something you would.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. So people like that, I would say you can definitely find them on a platform like LinkedIn. As far as the people who are actually going to just like direct to consumer or direct to customer selling and promoting, definitely leverage Facebook and Instagram. Show pictures of yourself. Have those short video snippets. Are you familiar with, they're called Audiograms. Are you familiar with those?
Vaguely.
Have you ever,
Vaguely.
so what they look like, so write down the name of this site as well. It's called headliner.app. Headliner, like being the headliner of a show, .app. You can create up to 10 free audiograms a month using their platform. And what you would do, Jeff, again, you can record yourself, let's say for 90 seconds, reciting some of your poetry or reading some of the quotes from one of your books. And with Headliner, it's going to create these short little video snippets that you could then download and then post onto social media. You can also add captions. So it has AI technology that has the ability to listen to your voice and predict the actual words that you are saying. And you can make the corrections. Like, when you turn on closed captioning, if you're watching, the subtitles that you may see sometimes if you're watching a movie in a foreign language, it has that ability to do that, because research shows a lot of times when people watch videos within a post, if it has captions, they would almost always watch it with the captions than without. Because if they want to turn the sound off, they still have the ability to watch you, but at the same time read what you're saying without having to actually turn up the volume. So think about, if people are at work or if you're in a place where you can't really turn up the volume, if you're standing in line at a post office or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing out an idea. But research shows that a great majority of people, actually, that is the way they prefer to watch a video. So those are some ideas. I would, again, we already talked about reconstructing your book, making sure that you get that distribution through Amazon. That's definitely going to be the way to do it. And once you have your presence on Amazon, you can just start putting that link everywhere. Put that link in the bio on your Facebook page. Put that link in the bio on your Instagram page. wherever you have an online presence, you want to be driving people to your book on Amazon. We don't have the luxury right now of selling things out of, in the back of a room. We just don't have that luxury right now. But we can take advantage of all of the digital and online platforms that are out there for us to still be able to get the word out about our products.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I hope you found that helpful.
Oh, extremely.
Incredibly.
Yeah, extremely. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I will definitely be checking in on your progress. Okay, we expect to see that Amazon author page up before the end of, soon. Okay. And I'm going to be checking in because I'm definitely going to give a report on, your status on the very last episode for this season. So we expect to see great things from you, Mr. Pollard.
Thank you.
And I expect you, whenever we're allowed to go to Cuba again, I don't want to end without saying this. Cuba, for, many people may not realize this, but Cuba is the most literate country in the world. Every year they have this huge book fair. So you and I, we will be going whenever our country is open going back to Cuba again, we will definitely be going to that book fair in Cuba and selling our books. And they open it up. All you have to do is register as a vendor, and it's a done deal. Yes.
That's
And
definitely.
And it's hosted by a different country every year. Even though it's in Cuba, there's a different theme hosted by a different country every year. In fact, I believe in 2019, I'm almost positive it was either Morocco or Angola that was the sponsoring country. But if you do a search online for Cuba Book Fair, definitely look it up and you're going to see just how large that book fair is. They take literacy very seriously over there in Cuba. Yes. So
Wow. Okay.
we'll be going to
Yeah.
that. Well, we're going to both have our books with our
Mhm.
ISBNs, barcodes and all, copyright pages.
Yes.
Totally legally legit and validated. And I wish you the best of luck, both of you. I really do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before you get that Amazon author page up, how can people get in touch with you, Jeff? What's the best way?
Oh, my phone number and email address.
Okay, so we don't give phone numbers out because remember this is
Right. No. My email address.
okay.
Jeffrey. It's 𝗕𝗂𝘀𝗂𝘀𝗋@gmail.com.
Okay.
Facebook, of course.
And of course, Facebook.
Okay,
as
and
well.
what's your name on Facebook?
Well, my Egyptian name, 𝗂𝘂𝘀𝗶, spelled KHONSU,
Okay.
𝗬huti, TEHUTI, Ma'at, MA''AT.
Okay, so Kansu Tehuti Ma'at
Yeah.
on Facebook. And we'll make
Yep.
sure we have a link to your Facebook profile. And the correct spelling of Jeffrey, is it Jeffrey?
Yes.
Okay. So Jeffrey Q. Pollard, and Pollard is spelled P like Paul, OLLARD, like demand, at gmail.com. Okay, and I actually just thought of one more quick thing before we wrap up. Another great place to showcase your books is to link up with different YouTubers who are looking for advertisers who are in this same space. There are a lot of them that are in the, I don't know how you would, are your books categorized as under the spiritual section, metaphysical? How would they be? What category would they fall under? That's actually something you'll have to know when you submit your book to Amazon.
Spiritual.
Yeah,
Spiritual?
I would say spiritual, yeah.
Okay. So definitely link up with some of those YouTubers. And I'll talk with you more offline about some good ones that I think you could get your books advertised on. Although there's a lot to say about organic book promotion, here's a recap of the process that we discussed with Jeff and Francine. And I'm going to give it to you in generic enough terms that you can apply to your book promotion process as well. So first thing is to develop a marketing plan that definitely includes promotion. Next, figure out who is most likely to read your book. After that, think about creating an author page on Amazon. It's free, and you can use that as a link to point people to if you don't have an actual website for your book. Next, figure out which social platforms will give you the most bang for your buck. Would it be Instagram and Facebook? Even though Jeff's poems fall under nonfiction, LinkedIn probably wouldn't be nearly as effective a platform for him as something where more creative people would hang out, such as IG, Instagram, or Facebook. After that, make sure you leverage hashtags for authors on that particular platform. For example, a very popular hashtag on Instagram is hashtag authors of Instagram. Next, make sure your social profiles feature banners or backgrounds that showcase your book. And then after that, connect with other authors, podcasters, as well as event planners who are likely to incorporate your book into their bodies of work, episodes, and events. Well, any other questions?
No, that everything was very comprehensive.
Okay, great. And we'll make sure we have all of the links to all of this information that we shared, all of the different websites and things like that. We will definitely have that available on the show notes at businessinfrastructure.tv. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.
Now, while some of these steps don't necessarily cost money up front, they do require your time. Of course, there's always the advertising route, which obviously would cost money. But just like podcasting, promoting your book is also like running a business. You'll need a team of people to help you along with the processes and the right tools. Jeff has a lot to think about with how to promote his book, and he'll definitely have to get creative considering the pandemic. But two heads are always better than one, and I know that Francine will be there by his side every step of the way. I expect great things from both of them. What do you think? Will Jeff reformat the size of his book? Will he create his Amazon author page? Will he see sales soar after he implements the workflow that we discussed? My guess is that he'll have great news to share with us by the end of the year. But there's only one way to find out for sure, and that's by subscribing to this podcast and to our YouTube channel at businessinfrastructure.tv. When you subscribe, you'll receive a notification when the last episode of Season 10 premieres, and that's where I'll give an update on their progress. In fact, you can even request your own private one-on-one consultation with me. We'll also have links to the resources we mentioned during this episode in the show notes. Again, all of this information is available at businessinfrastructure.tv. As always, thank you so much for tuning in and for being a loyal subscriber. Remember, stay focused, be encouraged. This entrepreneurial journey is a marathon and not a sprint. Until the next time.